An old man sits in the thick fog, controlling hundreds of corpses charging toward a tycoon's building. The special forces are quickly overwhelmed, and the defense system collapses in moments. The horde of zombies rushes up to the top of the building like an unstoppable force. Under police protection, the tycoon manages to get into the elevator and descend, but then something strange happens. The corpses begin to jump from the building, using the fastest means possible to reach the ground, and soon, they are chasing after their target. Who is this old man on the video? Where did these corpses come from, and why are they attacking the tycoon? To understand it all, we have to go back to the beginning. 3 years ago, a shocking home invasion and murder case shook all of South Korea. The victim was a researcher for Saengri Pharmaceuticals, one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the country. But after committing the murder, the assailant didn't flee. Instead, his body began to fall apart like mud, collapsing at the scene. Police investigations revealed that the victim had died from a toxic bite, but the strangest part was that the assailant had already been dead for 3 months before the crime. How could a corpse kill someone? As the police struggled with this baffling mystery, the mastermind suddenly came forward, requesting a live interview. The protagonist, Jin Hee, is a journalist. On the day the criminal called, she was at the radio station, introducing her new book, when the criminal phoned in and said he would show up at 2 p.m. the next day for an exclusive interview with her. The next day, Jin Hee and her team nervously prepared for the interview, while police officers were stationed everywhere, unsure if the criminal would really show. At 2 p.m., the silhouette of a man appeared on the camera screen. Shockingly, the criminal had walked right into the trap. The live stream began, and the man calmly admitted that he was the one controlling the corpses. He wasn't there to turn himself in. Instead, he came to deliver 3 warnings to Saengri Pharmaceuticals. First, in 2 days, he would kill the company's director. In 4 days, he would kill the CEO. And in 6 days, the chairman of Saengri Pharmaceuticals wouldn't live to see the light of the next day. Of course, if they wanted him to stop, there was a way. The chairman of Saengri Pharmaceuticals just needed to publicly apologize for the crimes he had committed, and the killing would stop. Apologize for crimes. As everyone struggled to understand what was happening, the criminal suddenly pulled out a knife and threatened Jin Hee. The police rushed in, and a standoff ensued. Despite the chaos, Jin Hee's assistant didn't miss a beat and continued live streaming the whole thing. Public outrage erupted, and the tension skyrocketed. While everyone expected the criminal to use Jin Hee as a hostage to escape, something unexpected happened. His body began to turn into dirt. He pushed Jin Hee away as his flesh and blood crumbled into soil. In seconds, the criminal collapsed to his knees. It was clear that he was nothing more than a puppet, a corpse controlled by someone else. Back at Saengri Pharmaceuticals, the chilling 3-part warning had everyone terrified. The company's director, Min Sok, who was the first target, was visibly shaken. Sung-il, the CEO, who was the second target, was also unsure of what to do. As for the chairman, the leader of the company, he was vacationing abroad, unaware of the turmoil unfolding back home. Upon further investigation, police discovered that the corpse participating in the interview was none other than the head of the research department for Saengri Pharmaceuticals, who had mysteriously disappeared 2 months ago. His reappearance in such a state clearly pointed to the company's involvement in something sinister. It was also revealed that the girl at the center of the investigation was the chairman's daughter and the sole heir to Saengri Pharmaceuticals. Although young, she was not to be underestimated. When questioned by the police, she refused to say anything. 2 months prior, Saengri Pharmaceuticals had recruited 100 people for a new drug trial. The trial failed, and now, the head of research had returned in this horrifying condition. If they didn't handle things properly, Saengri's dark secrets would inevitably be exposed. Meanwhile, Jin Hee's husband, Seong-jun, the lead investigator on the case, discovered a crucial clue in the files. Each of the controlled corpses had a strange symbol on their hand. At the same time, Professor Tak, a scholar, studied the symbol and revealed that it originated from Indonesia. It was an advanced form of sorcery capable of controlling corpses, known as the cursed ones. To create these cursed ones, the sorcerer must first mix his own blood with the soil from the corpse's burial site and then mold it into a human-like figure out of clay. Next, he makes a pact with demons to curse the corpse, sets up a barrier, and uses magic on the clay figure, which allows him to control the dead at will. Through translation, they learned that the first corpse controlled had a tattoo on its wrist that read "First Time for Revenge." Meanwhile, the tattoo on the wrist of the corpse in the interview said "Attract Attention." So far, it was clear that the person controlling the corpses was a sorcerer from Indonesia. While his ultimate goal remained unknown, every step of his plan was clearly calculated. That evening, Jin Hee returned to the newsroom, only to be startled by a shadowy figure. It turned out to be her new assistant, Jesse, who was working late into the night. Jin Hee kindly praised Jesse for his dedication. But when Jesse remarked that Jin Hee's father was selfish and had never cared for her, Jin Hee was taken aback. She hadn't realized that Jesse was not as simple as he appeared. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. As the sorcerer's warning predicted, the chairman still hadn't apologized, and so, the first to die was director Min Sok. At this point, Saengri Pharmaceuticals headquarters was fortified with special forces inside and reporters outside, with 3 layers of security on both sides. Everyone was on edge, fearing the criminal's arrival. Inside his office, Min Sok trembled with fear, while Seong-jun, sticking to the plan, awaited the criminal. They thought they had prepared thoroughly, but they were about to face an overwhelming battle. Outside the building, a figure in a black cloak appeared, grabbing a police officer by by the throat and hurling him far away with terrifying strength. Reporters, eager for a scoop, rushed forward to snap pictures, undeterred by the danger. As Jin-hee glanced back, she saw a dozen corpses in black cloaks, their rigid faces tilted upward, staring at the building. The tattoos on their wrists glowed, and before anyone could react, the corpses charged forward in a frenzy. No one could stop them. Reporters were shoved aside, and the special forces, forming a protective wall, were effortlessly overrun. The firepower was cranked up to the max, and bullets were fired into the knees of the corpses. For a moment, everyone thought this might stop them, but to their shock, the corpses leapt high into the air, displaying supernatural combat skills and seemingly immortal bodies. As soon as they hit the ground, they sprang back up, knocking everyone down. The horde of corpses charged up the stairs, and just as they were about to reach the top, Seong-jin quickly got Min-sok into the elevator and headed down. At that very moment, the corpses suddenly stopped in their tracks. Having received an order, one by one, they dropped down from the building. Everyone below looked on in confusion, but the corpses swiftly stood back up and started chasing after them toward the parking lot. In the parking lot, one of the corpses launched a surprise attack, but Jin-hee arrived just in time, ramming the corpse with her car. She looked around and saw even more corpses closing in. Without hesitation, she shifted gears and floored the gas pedal to block their path. Meanwhile, Seong-jin rushed Min-sok into another car and sped away from the building. But what no one expected was that the corpses, using all their skills, hijacked a fleet of taxis. Before long, the corpses had caught up, and the taxis raced past Seong-jin's car. Strangely, they didn't attack right away, which puzzled Seong-jin, until suddenly the taxis closed in and began playing a deadly game. Inside a tunnel, they surrounded Seong-jin's car from all sides. Front, back, left, and right. The windows were smashed as the corpses crawled out of the taxis, and a fierce battle erupted. Seong-jin fought with everything he had, maneuvering the car left and right, desperately trying to break free. He barely managed to escape the tunnel, but before they could catch their breath, the corpses were on them again. Smashing through the car's windows, Min-sok was dragged out of the vehicle. Seong-jin tried to stop them but was clawed and injured by the corpses. The air was filled with Min-sok's agonizing screams as the corpses tore him apart. After accomplishing their mission, the corpses crumbled into mud and knelt down. Meanwhile, CEO Sung-il, who was sitting in another car, was terrified. This was only the beginning, and he was next on the hit list. Jin-hee arrived just in time to find Seong-jin wounded by the corpses, his injuries quickly festering. At the hospital, Seong-jin and the others who had been scratched by the corpses were rushed to the emergency room. Their wounds had started to rot, and the doctors were helpless. As Jin-hee struggled to figure out what to do, Professor Tak informed her that Seong-jin and the others had been cursed. The only way to lift the curse was for the sorcerer to undo it himself, or for them to find and kill him. Sitting in a cafe, Jin-hee was lost, unsure where to even begin her investigation. Suddenly, the lights flickered and then went out. Jin-hee was being strangled by a corpse, and in that life-or-death moment, the corpse suddenly lost control of its limbs, its body convulsing. A shadowy figure appeared behind it, emitting an overwhelming force. As the corpse writhed, Jin-hee suddenly woke up. It had all been a nightmare, but now Jin-hee remembered someone. A year ago, Jin-hee had fought alongside a shaman named Zhao Na. Together, they defeated a demon from hell and imprisoned it within Zhao Na's body. Later, Zhao Na mysteriously disappeared without a trace. Her sudden appearance in Jin-hee's dream seemed like a prelude to her reappearance later on. This backstory is taken from the Korean series The Cursed, of which this film is considered a spin-off. Even if you haven't seen The Cursed, it doesn't matter, because this film has a completely standalone plot. You just need to know that Zhao Na is a powerful shaman, and she will play a key role later. Returning to the movie's story, Jin-hee's husband's fate was still unknown, and the deadly warnings were continuing. As Jin-hee struggled to find a way out, the next target of the warnings, Saengri Pharmaceuticals CEO, Sung-il, came to see her. It turned out that after director Min-sok's death, Sung-il's last emotional defense had collapsed. He had previously begged the chairman to publicly apologize to save him. But just as expected, driven by the company's interests and his own pride, the chairman refused. To make matters worse, the chairman's daughter only added fuel to the fire, showing no concern for Sung-il's life or death. Feeling utterly abandoned, Sung-il's resolve broke, and he sought out Jin-hee to reveal the whole truth. 2 months ago, the company's American division had tasked them with researching and producing a toxin derived from a shelled creature to be used as a biochemical weapon. Due to the enormous potential profit and the desire to speed up the research, Saengri Pharmaceuticals lured 100 people into participating in the experiment by offering them large sums of money. Most of these participants were homeless individuals, while others were illegal immigrants. Initially, everything seemed normal, but soon after, severe side effects began to manifest, and in the end, all 100 participants died in the lab. With the crucial evidence provided by Sung-il, Jin-hee became convinced that the person controlling the corpses was from Indonesia. They often say that the most dangerous place is also the safest. Could it be that the sorcerer controlling the corpses is hiding in the abandoned research facility? Jin-hee and the team split into 2 groups. 2 of her colleagues are tasked with taking the list of test volunteers provided by Sung-il to the immigration immigration office to investigate those who came from Indonesia, while Jin-hee and her husband's assistant head to the research center to investigate. Jin-hee got into the car and headed for the research center, unaware that a motorcycle was quietly following them. At the research center, Jin-hee and the assistant carefully searched the area. First, they discovered strange symbols drawn all over the walls. Then, they heard a noise coming from upstairs and decided to go check it out. On the second floor, just as they expected, they encountered a corpse. During the chaotic chase, Jin-hee and the assistant took refuge in a room, but when they turned around, they were shocked to find another corpse suddenly behind them. The corpse knocked the assistant aside and grabbed Jin-hee by the throat. In that dire moment, a woman emerged from the shadows and saved Jin-hee. Facing the corpse, the woman initially dodged its attacks, then, she raised her hands and touched the corpse's face. As she did, the cursed veins surfaced, and the body convulsed. It was none other than Zhao Na, the shaman mentioned earlier. There was no time for Jin-hee and Zhao Na to catch up. As they were still being chased by the corpses, Jin-hee's group quickly fled into another room. Zhao Na then pulled out her staff and began drawing a magic circle on the floor. Zhao Na urged Jin-hee to hide, but the assistant was struggling to hold on. The corpse stormed into the room. While the assistant cowered in a corner, the room appeared empty to the corpse. It was a stealth spell. As the corpse was about to leave, unable to see the two women, the assistant, just like in the script, accidentally made a noise. Unable to leave a comrade behind, Jin-hee and Zhao Na had no choice but to step in. This was Zhao Na's moment to shine. After a fierce battle, Zhao Na used her curse magic to destroy the corpse. She told Jin-hee that after she had imprisoned the demon in her body a year ago, she had been searching for a way to deal with it. Finally, in a small temple in China, she met an old man who not only taught her how to manage the situation but also how to control the demon within her, allowing her to use its power at will. This time, Zhao Na had returned because, in her dreams, she sensed that Jin-hee was in danger. As the two were catching up, the assistant arrived with news. Last night, Sung-il could no longer bear the pressure and took his own life in his office. The second target of the deadly warnings was now dead, and the next in line was the chairman. Jin-hee's phone rang. As expected, the chairman could no longer refuse to apologize. With Sung-il now dead, the chairman was scared and had reached out to Jin-hee to arrange a press conference where he would admit his wrongdoings. At Angry Pharmaceuticals, the chairman stood in front of the cameras, reading from a prepared script. While he continuously apologized, he made no mention of the drug experiments. The chairman's daughter, clearly irritated by the entire process, urged Jin-hee to hurry up. Little did they know, assistant Jesse, standing behind the camera, was intently watching the chairman. As the chairman drank his tea, his daughter kept pressuring him. Sincerity was nothing more than a joke in front of these powerful people. Suddenly, Jin-hee's phone buzzed. It was a message from her colleague with the results of their investigation. Shockingly, the corpse they were looking for was Jesse. Jin-hee, stunned, turned to look at Jessie, noticing a tattoo on her wrist. The truth was finally revealed. Yes, Jessie was an illegal immigrant from Indonesia. 2 months ago, she had been tricked into participating in the drug experiment and died in South Korea. Jess's father was an Indonesian shaman. After learning of his daughter's death, he grew to despise Angry Pharmaceuticals with a burning hatred. First, he killed the pharmaceutical researcher, then he used the head of the research department to draw attention. Finally, he controlled his daughter's corpse, hiding her in plain sight as Jin-hee's assistant, to monitor whether the chairman would sincerely apologize. Now that it was clear the chairman had no genuine remorse, a massacre was about to unfold. Meanwhile, at the Pharmaceutical Research Center, Zhao Na and Professor Tak approached the strange markings again. After clearing away the dust on the ground, they realized the ritual circle had been destroyed, revealing a hidden passageway. At the end of the corridor was a door. When they opened it, an overwhelming force surged toward them. Looking ahead, they saw the shaman controlling the corpses, sitting at the far end. He was surrounded by dark smoke, and his final goal was clear: to use his daughter's corpse to kill the chairman. On Jin-hee's side, the chairman's insincere demeanor infuriated the shaman. He commanded his daughter's body to charge madly at the chairman. Jessie smashed through the window and stood in front of the chairman. After taking down several guards, she moved closer and closer to her target. At the same time, over on Zhao Na's side, everyone else had been incapacitated, lying on the ground, except for Zhao Na, who struggled step by step toward the shaman. This time, the shaman made no attempt to protect himself. Instead, he continued to control his daughter's body, reaching out toward the chairman. Just as she was about to land the final blow, the chairman narrowly escaped, and Zhao Na's cursed hands touched the shaman's head. In that instant, Zhao Na was pulled into the shaman's consciousness. There, she saw a man holding a little girl. Everything the shaman had done was to avenge his precious daughter and the other victims. Was that so wrong? Zhao Na considered letting go, but the shaman grabbed her hand. She then handed him the clay figure of his daughter. In that final moment, tears streamed down the shaman's face as he realized he would soon reunite with his daughter. Meanwhile, the chairman, having narrowly escaped, found himself facing his own daughter. She approached him and took out a vial of poison that had been previously developed, using Jess's finger to make a small cut on her father's face. That's right, the pharmaceutical company's illegal drug research could no longer be hidden. To avoid being implicated, the chairman's daughter used her father as a scapegoat, sacrificing him to save herself. The chairman let out a horrified scream before collapsing. He had been cruel, but his daughter turned out to be even crueler. When Jin Hee's group arrived, the chairman's daughter was crying, pretending to be heartbroken. She thought her plan had been flawlessly executed, but then Jin Hee raised a camera and told her to stop pretending. It turned out that Jesse had hidden a camera in the chairman's jacket, and everything his daughter had just done was live-streamed. As the saying goes, evil deeds will always be punished. Just when it seemed the film had come to an end, the power of wealth allowed the chairman's daughter to walk free, above the law. Jin Hee and Zhao Na confronted her and told her what a curse really was. All it took was a picture, a personal belonging, and her name. The law couldn't punish her, but the curse could, and with that, the movie concluded. This film is called The Cursed Dead Mon's Prey. Here's the question for this episode. Do you believe that curses and spells are real? For example, love spells. If you think they're real, comment number 1. If you think they don't work, comment number 2. Thank you for watching, goodbye, and see you next time.